YouTube, this is Diefly Fish. Just want to show you this crystal cell number 4 has been shorted out utilizing this copper, piece of copper, just as an electrode to touch both cathode and anode of this cell for over a day again. We're going to see what the voltage is. See if the crystal cell bounces back as it has done in the past. So again, we'll hook up negative, we'll hook up the positive, and right now it's showing, oh, helps to turn this over here, doesn't it? There we go. Bounces right back. So despite, again, prolonged and repetitive shorting, this battery is not dying. So again, just to reiterate, we have silica gel, copper coil, admixture of Epsom salt, zinc oxide, galena, and iron pyrite. I also put a little titanium dioxide, I think, in this one. In any event, not that that does anything except helps and aids in crystal formation, perhaps. Sealed with epoxy, we have a multi-laminar magnesium electrode here that I just basically folded over the magnesium ribbon. See if we can focus down on that. You can see it there. And again, the interesting thing is there is no discernible form of oxide layer forming from the copper, nor from magnesium. So for what it's worth, it bounces back. And again, I can show you the milliamp out of this after, again, prolonged shorting. So it's only been unshorted for a minute or two. And here is the milliamp hour production status post-shorting. So there it is, still climbing to 21 milliamps. Interesting. Have a great day. Good evening, YouTube. This is Diefly Fish. Just want to show you my next cell, test cell number 5, is going to be the utilization of magnesium solid strip, copper, bare copper wire that I've wrapped around a stainless steel 832 screw with a couple of O-rings to keep the separation away. And I have essentially here in my mortar and pestle combination of Epsom salts, the zinc oxide, doped with galena and iron pyrite. And I'm going to be adding into the mix crystal kitty litter, which is essentially silica gel. So perhaps this is the constituent that we are seeking the difficulty in ascertaining and making from the Marcus Reed cells. So we're going to mix this together. I'll add a constituent portion of that in molten form and then embed these two electrodes into it and find out, what the results will be. I will also land up sealing the top with epoxy. So we have magnesium, we have copper wrapped around a stainless steel core with two O-rings to keep the copper and magnesium separate, and we'll seal it into an anhydrous form into this test tube. And again, this is just Epsom salts, and it happens to have a lovely flavor of lavender. Nice smell. Much better than some other things. And I'll melt it in the stainless steel cup. And again, we have it zinc oxide doped with galena and iron pyrite. So in any event, we'll find out what happens. Guys, this is as far as I could get the copper electrode into the molten salts before it's solidified. So suffice to say, I got the magnesium 3/4 of the way into the test tube, and the copper and stainless steel coil into the electrode approximately 50% of the dimension of this test tube. So the overall surface area is not what I was hoping for, but that's the only working time that I had given the nature of the molten salt. So in here you can see, if you look very carefully, the blue is a part of the constituent of the silica gel that was molten and incorporated into literally the Epsom salts, zinc oxide, galena, and iron pyrite admixture. So between these two electrodes, it'll be interesting to see once this thing cools off what the voltage is, and I'm going to clean out a little bit of the superficial aspect of this so that I can seal it with epoxy to see what voltage and what current we're going to get out of this. I was really hoping to be able to embed this all the way in there, but it's extraordinarily difficult to keep the salts molten long enough inside this test tube and insert both electrodes adequately into it. So the thin magnesium portion went in no problem, but the thicker copper coil and solid core so that I could place it with pressure into this did not allow me to go any further. So in any event, we'll see what it does. So there you are. Hey YouTube, this is Dieflyfish. This is my latest cell embodiment, the crystal cell number 5, that I mixed in the zinc oxide Epsom salts, and I added into the mix silica gel into the molten constituency of this. And you can see the little blue flakes. That's part of the silica gel crystal kitty litter that I utilized as the source for it. And after placing the molten salts in here, you can see there was an expansion that shattered this test tube quite dramatically. And in any event, I have the two electrodes partially buried in this. I put some duct tape on the top part that shattered just to keep it together long enough to do a couple tests. So after sitting overnight, let's see what the voltage is and what the amp hour or milliamp hour output is. So here is the positive, here is the negative, and it produces about the same as the other crystal cells. So the silica gel I don't think was deleterious at all. And let's see what the voltage is. And again, the surface area is much smaller here because I don't have this copper electrode going all the way down as I do on most of my other cells. So you know, the anatomy of this is not idealized yet. So let's switch this over to volts and see where we're at. And it's producing 1.1 volts, which doesn't surprise me given how small of an electrode I have in there. But in any event, it does work. So again, the crystal kitty litter as an addition may be worthwhile looking at. But I'm encouraged that, you know, these cells are bouncing back even after shorting. So it will be interesting to see if we can improve them further. I'm going to attempt to make a battery of sorts with this material, and we'll go from there. Have a great day.